Kia ora anō. I've been invited to explain to you what are the principles of the He Pikinga Waiora implementation framework. So in case you hadn't already noticed, there are 5 principles that form the foundation of the framework. The first principle, kaupapa Māori, I'm biased, I'll call that the main one, the main principle, but it in essence is about working with Māori, by Māori, for Māori. So Māori are central in terms of the decision-making processes, the aims and aspirations. So I'll connect it to the other principles. So the next principle I'll connect it to is community engagement. So community engagement, building on from the kaupapa Māori framework, is if you're working with Māori communities, Māori service users, it's how do you work with them so that you get the best from them and that you can make a difference, in your research or your implementation or work with our people. So the next principle is cultural centeredness. Now, we've talked about kaupapa Māori being the foundation principle to me and how that connects to community engagement, and cultural centeredness is looking beyond just ethnicity. So I'm not talking about just working with Māori, I'm talking about the culture and communities. Your communities have culture, they have shared understandings, ways of doing, being and understanding and interacting with each other. So when we're talking about cultural centeredness, it's being mindful of the everyday realities of the communities that we're working with. So how do we get our research to affect or get implemented in the different agencies, the different levels? So at government, into policy, into local government agencies, so it might be in council, might be in our local DHB and hospitals, or right down to the local marae. So how can we implement changes across all of those different agencies based on our work with our communities and our people? So that's what we mean by integrated knowledge transfer. So how do we get our research to affect or get implemented in the different agencies, the different levels? So at government, into policy, into local government agencies, so it might be in council, might be in our local DHB and hospitals, or right down to the local marae. So how can we implement changes across all of those different agencies based on our work with our communities and our people? So that's what we mean by integrated knowledge transfer. Okay, and our last principle is systems thinking. So here we're talking about looking at all the different layers and levels. So from auntie and uncle who live, just down the road, to the whole community, the township, across to the cities, the nearby cities, and then nationally. So from individuals to communities to national level. So when we're thinking about systems thinking, we're thinking about how to affect change across all of those levels. So if we use, for example, one of the diabetes interventions that we have with our He Pikinga Waiora implementation framework, we're working with a community health agency or service provider, and they're working at that grassroots level with whānau, immediate whānau who connect to the marae, but they're also connecting out to the whānau whānui, to the wider communities. And in our work with them, we're looking at how we can affect change with the DHB, the local council, and also influence policy at national level. So you've got that flow on change across all the different systems. So that's, in a nutshell, what we mean by systems thinking, and hopefully turning that into action within the framework.